What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here for another transfer video. We're going to be looking at targets at centre-back today. So obviously we started off with the goalkeeper episode. Now we're moving on to the centre-backs. Obviously we all know centre-backs is a very big position for Tottenham, which we really need major surgery in. We've picked out 5 targets, which we should be looking at, but we probably could have picked out more because we don't even know how many centre-backs we need. We need a minimum of 1. I mean, we definitely need maybe even 2. So, I mean, even 3 potentially. But look, I think probably 1 or 2 we need to sign. But we've picked out 5, which could be potential options and very definitely gettable and viable options, very much realistic options. So let's get into the first one. And the first one we're talking about is Joachim Andersen. Obviously had a very good season at Fulham this year on loan from Lyon. It's been talked about a lot in the press. He's been linked with us a lot. And apparently Spurs are his preferred option. I think he's getting a lot of interest from around Europe as well. But he does want to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, he reminds me of a young Toby Alderweireld or younger Toby Alderweireld. Anderson. He's just very comfortable on the ball. He's impressed me a lot. We've spoken a lot about Anderson of his time at Fulham, and he's been very solid for the whole season. And although Lyon might want to hang on to him after his season he's had at Fulham, I think he definitely wants to stay in the Premier League, and I think he's impressed me a lot, definitely, especially with his distribution and his ability to lead a defence which is fairly weak throughout the season. So he's definitely one I'd strongly consider.
Yeah, and it looks like that he is going to get over the line. It seems as though the rumours have hotted up. It seems as though like he's very interested in coming to Spurs. It seems as though we're very interested in him. So I think you can maybe not assume, but you think that we're going to sign him, don't you?
Seems that way. All arrows seem to be pointing in that way, and he seems to want to come here. Like, it doesn't seem to be much competition for his signature either, so I think that's one that definitely is an easy one to just quickly go over the line. And
when we do sign him, it's important to note that we still want to sign him plus one other.
Yeah.
It's not just him.
I think he has good leadership skills because he was captain at Fulham, but you wouldn't want him to be the leader. You want him plus one.
I'd like to sign him and one of who we're going to talk about next, the next 4. So the next one we're going to talk about is Sven Botman. Just won the league with Lille, had an astonishing season by all accounts. We kind of valued him 35 million for Sven Botman, but this guy looks like a proper centre-back, doesn't he?
Yeah, obviously they won the league, as you said. Another one who came through, I believe, at Ajax, I believe he came through. Yeah. And so he's very good with his distribution. He's very comfortable in possession. And I think he's shown this season how good he can be when given a run of games. And he's also a big unit. I think he's like 6'5" or something. He's really tall and really strong. And Dutch defender. So definitely one I think he would fit in really well at Spurs if we were able to get that one over the line. But he does have many years left on his contract, so he'll be definitely difficult to obtain. And having just won the league, he might want to stay for a year or 2 more for sure. But with their manager leaving, maybe he might think the time is right.
Well, it's also worth noting that the manager Galtier did leave because that Lille are going through a bit of financial problems, and he's gone to Nice, who are like halfway down the table compared to Lille, which is an interesting one. And it's because Nice have a lot of money and Lille have basically no money, so they might have to sell this summer. So I think Botman has come out, or someone said that he is staying for this season.
There was a publication said he was staying,
But I think that if an offer does come in, he'll have to seriously consider it, especially if it's from the Premier League.
If their money troubles are that bad, they're clearly going to have to consider it. So I think it's one of those where if we're ambitious, we could test their resolve for sure and think about getting him over the line.
But he's one that I would.
He's also young, only 21 years old. So he's got a bright future ahead. It could be a very good investment for the future.
He was linked with Liverpool as well last January. So they could be coming in, but doubt it because they've just signed the centre-back from Leipzig, Konate.
Exactly.
That doesn't look likely. But anyway, let's move on to the third option, and this is Aston Villa's Ezri Konsa. We valued him at quite high, 45 million. He grew up as a Tottenham fan, which is an interesting one. So I really like him as a defender. He didn't get called up, did he, to the Euros? I mean, when you compare him to someone like Ben Godfrey, how do you rank them both? Because Godfrey got called up.
They're similar. I think Godfrey I think it's probably maybe a bit more versatile, although it's important to note against Spurs, actually, Konsa started right back. And I don't think he looked entirely comfortable there, but he did start there and they won. Godfrey's kind of played all across the back four throughout the whole season, and he's been pretty good throughout. So I think Godfrey's also maybe a tiny bit better on the ball than Konsa is. But I think in terms of pure defensive ability, I think Konsa might just shade it, actually. I think Konsa's been a fine defender. He's developed a really good partnership with Mings throughout the season. And again, another young defender who's definitely going to be one for the future. But having just signed a contract this summer, it's going to be hard to obtain him. But another one, if we really wanted to go for it, we could probably bid about 45 million. Villa might consider that.
Bit expensive, though, isn't it?
It's a bit too expensive. Though, again, he is young. He's young and he's English, and he's got a lot of potential, so it could be worth it.
If you're comparing Konsa and Botman, I mean, first of all, I prefer Botman, and Botman would probably be cheaper.
That's the truth. He's got the English tax on him, doesn't he, Konsa? That's the issue.
Let's move on. The centre-back from Wolfsburg, Maxence, how you pronounce that? Lacroix? Lacroix. Obviously, I don't know much about him. Sim was going on about him, saying he's had a very good season at Wolfsburg and touted to Bayern Munich even, maybe.
Yeah, very strong season. He's one we should definitely get ahead of the competition if we're going to go from a 21-year-old French centre-back. He's not going to the Euros, but he was very close to going to the Euros when the squad was announced. Apparently, I think he just missed out, so he got very unlucky, but he's definitely up and coming. He got his breakout season pretty much this season with Wolfsburg, and after signing from Sochaux last season, and he's had an unbelievable season. He's been absolutely fantastic, and he's also a big unit, just under 2 meters as well. So he's quite like 6'2", 6'3", and he's very adept at playing with his ball to feet as well. So he's definitely one where I feel like if we go for him now, like in a few years' time, we'll look back at it and think we absolutely got away with the bargain. Because I think in a couple of years' time, he could be double the worth.
Interesting. Well, let me know in the comment section below which of those centre-backs do you like the look of as we move on to the last centre-back we're going to look at today, and that is Nikola Milenkovic of Fiorentina. I mean, Fiorentina have had an awful season this year, but he's been one of their shining lights, that's for sure. Really, really solid centre-back. He's got a release clause of 25 million in his contract, so that's definitely one Daniel Levy is going to be looking at, and he's been quite linked with us in last year as well.
Yeah, and he's won something like 90% of his aerial duels throughout the season or something ridiculous like that. He's also won, I think he's like 6'6" or something. Yeah. He's really, really tall. Also, as you said, a year left on his contract. So, and a team for Fiorentina who Spurs would definitely represent a step up from there. So you got to say he's definitely one we should really seriously look at. Another one, a bit on the cheaper option as well, because he's got a running down contract.
He's got a release clause.
Yeah, so the only question is, do we feel like he'll suit the Premier League? And that's the big question mark surrounding their own transfer. Because from everything else, he's definitely a no-brainer. But it's all about.
Is he pacey?
He's not the quickest, is he? 6'5", is he? So he's not the fastest centre back. But I don't think he's like Fazio level slow. But he's not the quickest. No.
All right, well, those are the 5 centre-backs we're talking about today. I wanted to touch on Milan Skriniar as well, because obviously he was heavily linked with us last summer. With the season he's had in Italy, his price tag has probably doubled from 40 to 80. But on the flip side of that, Antonio Conte left Inter because of what their future plans are. They need to sell quite heavily. I think 80, 90 million worth of players they need to sell. So is it possible that we could go in for a Milan Skriniar for a cut price deal?
Potentially, but the problem is we might not even be first in the queue anymore. That's also another worry. If he's going for a cheap deal, then maybe teams higher above us in the food chain might go for him. But I think there is definitely because of their financial struggles, there's definitely another opportunity potentially for Skriniar this summer. But as you say, his price, like we tried to get him 40, they weren't going to take anything less than 45 last year. Are they going to really drop their price by 10 million to try and get him out? Still very doubtful, in my opinion.
But if they need money, they need money. And that's why Conte is left. So you never know what can happen. You really never know what can happen. But those are the targets we've spoken about. We've spoken about Joachim Andersen, Sven Botman, Ezri Konsa, Milenkovic, Lacroix. How do you say it again?
Lacroix.
And we also touched on Milan Skriniar as well. So if any of those centre-backs interest you, put them in the comments section below. And also, if we missed out any who you think could be viable options for us to sign at centre-back this summer, put it in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.